Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely shatter that sanitized, idyllic image of nature's nurseries. When we think of parenting, we usually picture gentle nurturing, but out in the natural world, creating life is a much darker, much more visceral reality. What we're actually looking at is a masterclass in ruthless efficiency.
You know, in the wild, parenting is rarely about soft lullabies or gentle guidance. Survival, quite literally, demands blood. It's driven by these agonizing, absolutely ruthless biological imperatives, where survival demands sweat and sometimes the very flesh of the parent.
We all have these comforting human expectations of parenthood, right? Safety, comfort, deep nurturance. But the animal reality is vastly different. It is defined by starvation, bodily mutilation, and even fatal consumption. Animals must go to unimaginably horrific lengths just to ensure their genetic legacy survives for one more generation.
All right, let's dive right into Section 1. Glued to the burden, the torment of the giant water bug.
Picture this, up to 150 large eggs. In the world of the giant water bug, the female forcibly cements this massive clutch directly onto the male's wings and back. She uses this super strong adhesive, basically turning him into a living, heavily encumbered incubator. No way out of it.
Carrying all those eggs, the father basically becomes a living shield. He's doomed to spend weeks aggressively aerating them just to prevent fungus, all while viciously defending them from predators. And under this immense literal weight, he can't fly, he can't mate, he is completely 100% trapped by his own offspring.
So it makes you wonder, how much of your own body would you give to ensure your kids survive? Hold on to that thought. The giant water bug gives up his mobility and safety, sure, but as we bridge from external burdens to grueling internal and environmental incubation, the sacrifices get even more extreme.
Moving on to Section 2, the torment of incubation, emperor penguins and male seahorses.
Negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the grueling winter reality for the male emperor penguin. He's out there having to carefully balance a single precious egg on his feet, tucked under a warm brood pouch, standing in total darkness against freezing, relentless winds. And get this, if that egg touches the ice for even a split second, the chicken side dies. The timeline here is just agonizing. In May, the egg is transferred. Then through June and July, the father endures total starvation while incubating the egg in that negative 40-degree weather. By August, he has starved himself for up to 120 days. He loses massive amounts of body weight just to keep that one egg alive until the females finally return.
Now, pivoting over to the ocean, we see another biological anomaly, the male seahorse. People usually think they just carry eggs in a little pouch, but actually, scratch that. This is a true internal pregnancy. His body fundamentally morphs to sustain life. The male actually provides nutrients and oxygen to the embryos, and his internal environment regulates things like salinity just to prep the babies for the ocean.
And the culmination of that pregnancy is absolutely staggering, up to 2,000 young. After weeks of intense internal swelling, the male goes through these aggressive, exhausting muscular contractions, and then up to 2,000 miniature seahorses violently erupt from his brood pouch. It is an explosive, physically depleting birth.
Okay, so the seahorse pouch is bizarre, but let's escalate the dread here for a second. What if your nursery was inside your father's throat? I know, it sounds exactly like the plot of a sci-fi horror movie, but down in the damp forests of South America, it is a very real, very grim biological fact.
Which brings us to Section 3, Swallowed Alive by Father, the Body Horror of Darwin's Frog. Let's break down this gruesome procedure, step by step. First, the father guards the eggs on the moist forest floor. Normal enough, right? But when they hatch, he literally swallows the live tadpoles. They don't go to his stomach, though. Instead, they migrate straight into his vocal sacs. And as they grow, those sacs stretch entirely across his underside, until finally, he violently burps up fully formed froglets. Just imagine your skin stretching as dozens of living creatures writhe inside you. As these tadpoles grow into frogs inside his vocal sacs, they take up so much space that the father's internal organs are physically displaced. They get crushed right up against his spine just to make room. He literally sacrifices his own internal anatomy to become a living, breathing incubator. So, we've seen parents burdened, starved, and internally rearranged. But what is the ultimate price? I mean, if starving for 120 days or crushing your own organs isn't the absolute limit of parental sacrifice, what is?
Well, the answer lies in total, fatal sacrifice.
This leads us to Section 4, the ultimate flesh sacrifice, the final offering of the spider mother.
Matrophagy. Take a second to just let that stark, chilling definition sink in. The consumption of the mother by her own offspring. In certain spider species, ensuring the survival of the next generation isn't just about finding food for them. It is about physically becoming the food. The sheer horror of this biological concept is, quite frankly, completely unmatched.
The actual process is agonizing to even think about. First, the mother's tissues begin to literally liquefy internally. Then, she actively summons her young. The spiderlings swarm her body and inject her with digestive enzymes. She is consumed alive. She's breaking down her own body just to serve as her baby's very first nutrient-dense meal.
And here is the wildest part. As she is being consumed alive, she doesn't fight back. She doesn't try to escape at all. So the absolute crucial point to understand here is that this brutal suicide is an evolutionary masterpiece. It's a highly calculated strategy designed to give her young the ultimate head start in a hostile world. She is directly trading her life for their vitality.
And that brings us to Section 5, the price of survival when life demands destruction.
When we actually weigh the cost against the reward, the stark reality becomes super clear. The cost? Starvation, severe mutilation, and absolute death. But the reward is genetic survival and a continued lineage. In nature, the creation of life is inextricably, brutally linked to the destruction or immense suffering of the creator. It is just a completely unfeeling exchange rate.
The truth is, biology is not always beautiful. In fact, at its core, it's fundamentally ruthless. The survival strategies we've explored today are a masterclass in this ruthless efficiency. They are entirely devoid of that warm, fuzzy sentimentality that we humans so love to project onto the animal kingdom.
So I want to leave you with this one thought. Knowing the true macabre cost of life, the encumbrance, the starvation, the internal stretching, the matrophagy, can you ever look at nature's miracles the exact same way again? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning everything you know about the natural world, and we'll see you next time.